Everyone has gone through whatever they've gone through, and it's always different to another person. Like what I've been through is going to be very different to what you've been through.
So let's welcome some angels from Australia, other side of the world again. Yes.
Hello,
Welcome,
everyone.
Sam.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me today. It's an absolute pleasure.
So, as we were saying, Sam is a branding specialist, designer, and author, and the heart behind Angels Designs. The, their work is grounded in the belief that branding is about something more than aesthetics, it's about belonging. Through thoughtful strategy and soulful design, Sam helps health and wellness businesses uncover their stories, communicate it with clarity, and build brands that feel deeply aligned. Their approach blends creativity with connection, creating identities that don't just look beautiful, but feel like home to the people they are meant to serve. So, welcome, Sam. Here we talk again.
Yes.
So, you know that I'm usually start the podcast with the question, when you hear allow yourself, what comes to mind?
Oh, I love that. Like to me, it's really like allow yourself to be free, allow yourself to be yourself, allow yourself to be human. It's really about not getting, or at least to me anyway, it's about not getting caught up in appearances, in what you should or shouldn't be doing, but just really being yourself and being true to who you are, regardless of who that actually is.
Oh, that's beautiful, but it takes time to get there, right?
Oh,
Not
it
to
takes a
get.
lot of time to get there. Oh, so much time.
We are
Um,
like used to be caught in all people's demands and expectations, and we try to appear and to be complacent with what
mm,
other people wants about us, and
mm,
we we think we're free. We are like just losing ourselves in somebody
yeah.
else's opinion. And how do we allow ourselves to be ourselves?
Oh, I mean, I certainly don't think there's an easy answer to that question. And I'm definitely not perfect at it. That's for sure. I'm not the expert in not getting caught up in, other people's demands and everything. But for me, I like being true to myself and all of that is really about not like I do it by, I guess, continually working on myself, like going to therapy, going to my doctor's appointments, going and actively and consciously doing the work on myself, so that hopefully I do get to a place where I am, free and can live how I want to live and live in a way that's, I guess, true, like just true to me. um but I don't think there's really an easy answer to the question,
Yeah.
and like it's so complicated, and unfortunately I guess the best answer I've got is just by working on myself and putting in that work, and like really putting in that work.
When you mean by putting in that work, do you mean paying attention to your thoughts, paying attention to your
Yeah, I
acts,
mean,
not being the automatic mode? Yeah.
yeah, it really, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, where it's like, just being aware of how I'm thinking, why I'm doing things, and being aware of it. And then if I catch myself where it's like, am I doing this thing for me, or am I doing it for someone else? If I am doing it for someone else, just sit and reflect on, well, why am I doing it for that person? Like, is it because is it because I am, I guess, I value that relationship and that connection and, and that's why I'm doing it, which is, I think, fine, or is it because I feel like I should be, or there's some demand, or I feel like, whatever the circumstance may be, but really reflecting on that, why am I doing it this way? And catching those thoughts when they come up and really, and it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work, it's a lot of effort, it's not easy. But and also I think as well, like our values, like doing things in line with what our values are, and some of that work comes from knowing what your values are. Like so many people don't know what their core values are in life, and I think if you can get a grasp on what they are, then it's a lot easier to reflect on, why am I doing this? Is it in line with my values? Is it what I want to be doing, who I want to be? And really, that's kind of the work that I mean, and when I say like putting in the work.
Yeah. It's I ask these questions because branding is something about what you want to project, what you
Mm,
want to be you, you want people to see that you really are. And sometimes we get to the point when we do what everybody does, like like a spreadsheet or like a template. So we take this and we try to do what others did to our own branding, to our own. And you said branding to belong, branding for belonging, and it's
mm,
very very deep concept, according to me, in my opinion, right? It's very deep concept because it's like really showing yourself to belong to yourself
mhm.
and allow others to um, match their values to what you're projecting, what it's your
Yeah.
company. So how do you work with people in the branding to get to that deep concept of belonging?
It really, the way that I work with people is really about uncovering their story. I find you can really get to that sense and that place of belonging in yourself and in your brand by uncovering your story and your values. Again, like when I work with my clients, like we talk about their values and who they are, who they're not, and really um but it really is about that story and what they bring to the table, because your experiences as a person, like everybody has, lived experience. Everyone has gone through whatever they've gone through, and it's always different to another person. Like what I've been through is going to be very different to what you've been through, is going to be very different to what my mother's been through, or my friends, or everybody has unique lived experience. And so by uncovering and getting to a place where you're comfortable with telling that story, you can really find a sense of belonging, and that can help transform and shape, your aesthetics and your your aesthetics of your brand and of a business and of all of these different facets, I guess, of who you are as a person, what you bring to the table in business, and also how that differs from another company or another business as well.
Wow. And it sounds so easy, right? It sounds so
Oh, it sounds
natural
really
to the it, but it's really digging into who we really are,
Mhm.
digging into what we really want to show, what we
Mhm.
really want other people to see in order to understand our belonging. It reminds the word belonging reminds me a lot of Brené Brown, that
Mm,
she says that the difference between belonging and fitting in, that is
mm,
something that what you're saying is that fitting in is that I need to change myself in order to fit in a
Mm.
specific drawer, I call it.
Yeah.
And, and belonging is that they accept me as I am, as
Yeah.
in my brightness and in my qualities and in my shadows also. So this is who I am, and that's my boundaries are very clear where what I can do and what I cannot do. So and the line of Maya Angelou that says, I belong to everyone, I belong to no one
Hmm.
because I belong to myself. At the end, I
Yeah.
belong to me.
Yeah.
So so it's really interesting. I've never heard somebody do it like to belong. It's just to be
Mhm.
pretty and that everybody will like it and they will
Yeah.
say, and the
I mean,
content and the spirit and the meaning will
yeah.
be.
Yeah. And I mean, I think you really hit the nail on the head there with the acceptance, but I think a really key part of that is not just having other people accept you, but you accepting yourself. I think that's so intrinsic to belonging is being able to accept yourself for who you are because I think you're less likely to change to fit in if you accept who you are first, you know? Yeah, I think you just nailed it with, that word acceptance. And I'm very familiar with Brene Brown's work. I think she's
Mhm.
incredible. I think she's incredible. But yeah, that acceptance piece is so important because if you can accept yourself, it makes it easier to find people who are willing to accept you as well.
It has been popping up a lot that word in the podcast, the word acceptance, because
Oh.
it's it's very interesting. Yes, a couple of days ago, I was talking about the acceptance, and what the
Mm,
guest was saying is the once you get to acceptance, it doesn't matter what the acceptance, everything starts to flow. And
mm,
especially when you accept yourself and you can see yourself in the mirror as you are, with all your flaws, with all your shadows, with all your highlights, with all your life. And it's so true, right? That and you're saying it again. So that's why I want to emphasize this because once you accept who you are and what are your limits and what are your um, passions and what is your vision, you
mm,
can really flow and expand and grow. And
mm.
but it's so easy to say, "Oh, I
Oh, it's so
accept
easy to
myself,"
say.
right? But I accept myself. I do some workshops, and I start with take your phone and put it in selfie, and you can see yourself as a mirror, and say your name and say, "I love you." And everybody it's so not everybody, but a lot of people feel so uncomfortable and so no in their skin, and they feel ridiculous saying that I love you, I accept you.
Mm,
It's hard because we've been um I don't know. It's like when we have been always in our life told by other people in our eyes, you are this, you are that, you're the others. Others defined us, right?
mm,
And it's only when we see ourselves in the mirror that we're talking to ourselves.
mhm.
So in the branding, it's really a mirror.
Yeah,
That's why it's really a
it really
mirror.
is. Yeah, it 100% is. uh Branding is so much a reflection, like as much a reflection of you and your business as it is what you want to put out in the world. Like, and I think good branding really reflects that and reflects not just the positives, but also, the flaws and the limitations as well. And not in a bad way, but just in I guess, acceptance way of like, I'm gonna come as like, this is who I am, and I'm gonna come as I am. And that is so powerful. And I think when people, and I talk about this a lot in my like social media posts about how that branding is a mirror, it is a reflection of you. It is, and if and that's why when I like when I'm working with people, it's like we talk about all these things. What is, strengths and weaknesses, what are your values, what's your vision, what's your purpose? Like all of these things, the things that I ask people when I'm creating their branding. And even if I'm not necessarily doing their like logo, but I ask these questions if I'm doing a website or social, like any project that I do for people, I always ask all of these questions because once I get an understanding, and you like and the client gets an understanding of all of these things, it just opens up so many more avenues to what we can do as a team, in their branding so that it can reflect who they really are.
Yeah, it's not about you either because you're the creator, but you
Yeah,
need to
no,
understand who the client is. You're doing it for the
exactly.
client. You're not
Oh,
doing it
yeah.
for
No,
yourself.
exactly. Yeah. And there are things like I have personal preferences, right? Like there are things that I like, I don't like. I'm a human being. Of course, I've got personal preferences. But when I'm doing branding projects for clients, it's not about what I like and what I don't like. It's not even really about what the client likes and doesn't like. It's about uncovering that story and that and all of these things so that the branding is really reflective of what we want to showcase and not just what we like and don't like. Because everyone's got personal preferences, but it's not about what you like and what you don't like. It's what's gonna be that mirror and highlight the story and the values and all of the underlying, components of who you are.
How do you deal? I don't know if you have had clients that are perfective, that
Oh.
likes perfection. So how do you deal with
Oh,
that? Because that's the, it's the expectation of something that it's ideal and it's not
yeah.
real. So how
Yeah.
do you deal with it?
Yeah, so I mean, sometimes like I've had some clients who I've had to literally sit down and be like, it doesn't need to be perfect. I have this kind of motto. It's not necessarily like an overarching motto, but it's better to be done than perfect. Because with especially in business, like you're selling products or services or whatever it may be, and if we're constantly trying to make something perfect, and I've explained this to clients, and I have had very hard conversations with some people to be like, um, you know, we need to get it together. But it's so fast paced that if we're staying behind the curtain trying to make it perfect, it will never be showcased because there is no perfect. Nothing can ever be perfect. So it's really about kind of like in terms of like I guess dealing with clients like that, it's really about just sitting down and having a really open and honest conversation with them and be like, we need to just get this out there. We need to, spread the word of who you are. We need to spread, what you offer, what you're selling, because that's so much more important than it being the best possible thing that we can produce. So it's a lot of the time it really is just sitting down and having those open conversations with clients and being like, look, we just need to get it all together and really just put something out there. And I think 99% of the time, clients take that on board. And I think it's because of the way that I work with clients. Like I communicate very openly and honestly on everything that they really take what I say, um, on board. Like, yeah, take what I say on board and really I mean, they all value my opinion and my insights, and that I am the professional and the expert in the situation. So I don't have to have this conversation too many times, because the way that I work with clients is really about maintaining that open communication channels. So they can tell me things openly and honestly, and I don't get, offended and shut down and be like, oh my gosh, why did you say that to me? And also I can do the same to them. And that's really, I guess, how I deal with those kinds of situations where it's just maintaining lines of communication so that we can, if I do need to be like, we're being too perfectionistic about this, and really, I guess, maintain those channels of communication so that I can sit down and say, "Hey, we're being too perfectionistic about this. We need to get a move on." And usually they're just like, "Okay, yep, that's fair," and can reflect on themselves and realize that they're being perfectionistic. It is usually one of the things that comes up most when I ask about someone's weaknesses is that perfectionism. So it's definitely a factor, like going into projects. And absolutely, people have been like, oh, we need to get this absolutely perfect, but having a conversation about it and just being like, let's just move this on, and most of the time we do end up just moving on.
Yeah, it's like you said, never will be perfect.
Yeah.
It can be always better. So it's like looking for excellence more than perfection,
Mm.
right? Because
Yeah.
every time it depends on the mood also where they are. But it's what I'm hearing you say is that the best way to get to perfection, okay, perfection quotes,
Mm.
right? It's it's being honest.
Yeah.
It's having an honest conversation and being honest with yourself. Is honesty is very important in these cases when you want to belong. And that's a word that lately, I don't know, in life has been uh, punished. It's like
Mm.
being honest is sometimes is being punished. Why are you so assertive, so clear, so
Mm.
truthful? That's not how the world operates. But it's really, it's really one of the basic values that you can get to
Yeah.
what to be yourself, to be who you want to be, to belong to yourself, and to feel. There is a author that is called Fred Kaufman
Mm.
that he was the COO of LinkedIn. That he used to say in Spanish, but I'll translate it. It doesn't matter if I play good or bad. The importance is how I played.
Hmm.
In Spanish, it rhymes. It says, no importa si perdí o gané, lo que importa es cómo jugué. It's like how I perform. It doesn't matter if
Mm.
I won or lose, but it's that I am the one that can see myself next day in the mirror and
Hmm.
not feeling regrets, not guilt, not shame, not nothing. And
Hmm.
that's where honesty and belonging come to it, that you
Hmm.
can brand yourself and you and people can say whatever they want. You are good to yourself and you are good with what you are creating. You're doing with a good intention and you um, getting you're driving yourself to the place you want to be.
Mm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I think a key part of that as well is if you do make a mistake, like we'll take like, a game example. If you do play poorly or you lose or whatever, it's, learning from those mistakes. If you do make a mistake or something's not perfect or not quite the way you want it, going, okay, well, we can learn from this experience. We can make changes moving forward. And it's about that constant moving forward that's important, is like learning from your mistakes, moving forward, and just going, I don't want to say getting to where you're going, but like just moving, just going with the flow.
moving in in the direction that you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that you want. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can change the direction anytime.
Mm.
It depends
Yeah.
where you are, at what stage in your life you are that you
Yeah.
like to. And even you're very young and very
Yeah.
wise and
Exactly.
very and knowledgeable.
Thank you.
What would you say to your teenager?
Oh my, I would say so many things. What would I say to my teenage self?
Because you said that you
That's such a
have
big
worked. Mhm.
question.
Yeah, because you have
Um,
said that you have worked a lot to with yourself
yeah.
and that you got to the acceptance part. So when you were a teenager, what would you tell your teenager self today?
I would probably say I'd probably say firstly, like it's okay. Like everything's gonna be okay. Like you don't have to get like there's no need to get hung up on the bad experiences that you've had. There's no need to get hung up on, whether or not you're perfect or meeting expectations or that it is going to be okay. You will make it through. You will make it like you're gonna do things that you don't even know are possible. And so I think all I would say is that it's gonna be okay. Like I think, as a teenager, I very much did not think things were gonna be okay ever. I was like, it sucks. Everything sucks. And it's going to suck forever. And that's just not true. So that's the only thing I can think of that I would say. Like I don't even like I wouldn't even want to like warn them or change anything because all of the experiences that I've had and all of those feelings of like it's not okay or and all like everything have drastically shaped who I am today. And without having gone through everything that I've gone through, without having the really bad experiences, the really good experiences, the all of the crap, I guess, that happens in a life that like I don't really have much else I would say because I kind of have to have gone oh pardon me I kind of have to have gone through the not feeling like it was going to be okay, the internal thoughts, the external experiences, all of that. Without any of it really, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. I wouldn't have been able to really get to a place of acceptance. So it's kind of weird. Like, a lot of people talk about like wanting to change things in the past. And there are things that I certainly wished hadn't happened, but really, without them, I would not be the really strong, wise, independent person that I am today. So there's not a lot that I would say because I think I have to have gone through all of that, all the self-loathing, all of the worry and anxiety and all of the stuff to get to where I am today. I just would not be the same person. So I wouldn't really want to say too much because I have to go through the storm to get to the rainbow, essentially.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That, yeah, but the hope that everything will be okay. You're in the
Yeah.
in between.
Yeah,
You're
the hope
going
that everything
through.
will be okay. Just give some
Yeah,
hope to
yeah,
my
yeah,
to my
yeah, the
teenage
hope.
self.
Yeah. So, um, you, Sam, has you told me you wrote a book that it's
I
called Built
did.
for Belonging. I haven't read it, but I will get it. So I invite everybody to get it in samthewriter.com. That was,
Yep.
but what was your inspiration to write the book and what is the book about?
Yeah, so the inspiration, I have always been a writer. Even back when I didn't think that I could write very well. I've always loved writing. I always find putting words to a page just inspiring in itself. It really helps ground me. But in 2023, I was hospitalized. I was having some issues with my gut health at the time, and I was hospitalized and in just not a great place mentally because of the hospitalization. There's a lot of trauma. I find hospitals really difficult to be in. And my best friend at the time, although she's now my partner, so things developed. We were playing poker. Like in the hospital, she was visiting, and we were playing poker. And we're playing it a bit differently. We weren't betting money or chips or anything. We were betting questions. And um, one of the questions she had for me was like, "What's one thing that you want to accomplish, basically before you die?" And I lost that round, so I had to answer the question. And the first thing that really came to my mind was publish a book, publish the writing. Like I've got so much writing. Like that's why I have samthewriter.com because there's short stories, journal entries, essays. But I've got folders of books. I've got so many books that I've like partially written. And I was like, it'd be really cool to finish one of those books and publish it. Like that's the one thing that I want to do. And we got to talking and as things do, like you ask a question, you end up talking about it. And the one thing that kind of came up about this book was about my experiences. I have multiple disabilities. I have chronic illness. I have been told a lot of things in my life, not necessarily positive things, but I've been told a lot of things about who I am and what I can and can't do, and because of the disabilities that I've got. And I and she was like, why don't you talk about those experiences? Like, why don't you write and talk about what it was like to go through that, what it was, you know, and kind of how it shaped who I am? Because when I was 16, one of my doctors was asking me, what do you want to do with your life? What's your plans, basically? 'Cause I was 16 and nearing the end of high school, and everybody wants to know what a teenager is going to do with the rest of their life, which is absurd, but I won't get into that. And I told her, I was like, I want to go study design. At the time, it was architecture, and become an architect. And she was like, "Oh, well, you shouldn't bother doing that. Like, you're too sick to succeed at anything in your life, so just don't bother." Yeah, told this very young,
Wow.
yeah, a very young, impressionable Sam, "Don't bother, you're too sick." And I was distraught, I think understandably so. And I am also a very stubborn person. So I
In a
kind of
positive
went
way.
in a positive way. I do not mean that in a derogatory way at all. I love that I'm stubborn. I love that I kind of go against the grain. But I kind of went F you. And did it anyway. I ended up going and studying an architecture degree. I have a bachelor in architectural studies. I and I started a business, and a very successful business. I've been running my business for 8 years now. And after reflecting on all of this and the conversation that I had with my partner, I I wrote about it, and I wrote about how I was told all these things and how I do experience disability and I do experience chronic illness, and I was homeless for a period of time, and I've had all of these life experiences, and despite all of this and being told, don't bother doing anything, you won't succeed, I went and did it anyway. And that's really what the book's about, is about how I just did it anyway. And I talk about how I help my clients do it anyway, like find that sense of belonging and find who they are and who they're meant to be, and really build that up and build a life. It's really about building a life for yourself, and how I built a life for myself that feels like a home, that feels like you're meant to be there, and not like, I don't know, you're walking in somebody else's shoes, because it's so important to live the life that you want to live, and really build that for yourself. And so that's what I wrote about, and that's why and that's what the book is about.
Oh, that's really interesting because and you say I'm really stubborn about it. Um, what I'm hearing while you're talking is that stubbornness is I believe in myself. You can say whatever you want about me. I will do it anyway, and you will see that I can do it
Yeah.
because it's a self trust.
Mm,
Let's say that when I was a very rebel teenager,
mm,
and that was really my engine. Somebody telling me, "Ah, you cannot do it. Why?
mm.
No, we'll see." It's like,
Mm,
this is what I want, this is my vision, this is my self-trust, I can do it. You can say, and you can find a lot of people, and that's really sad, uh, or no, in your way, that they don't believe in you, bully you, uh, and really they're talking about themselves. That's what I say now. But at that time, you can find also people that believe in you, like your partner, and ask questions. And let's see what you can do. Why don't you do it? You're very good at it. So you have the two, what, the two people, but I don't know why it's like where we're trained or wired to listen more to those that don't believe in us
mm,
than to trust those that believe in us.
mm,
And I remember that one of the words expressions that I use a lot at my teenager, being stubborn and
mm,
making problems, right? With that label of being stubborn, is according to whom? That was the
mm,
question. My poor my mom. That was the question. You should do this. You should do that. According to whom? Because according to me,
mhm.
no. Or because according to me, yes. Okay. So, um,
Yeah.
it's what you're saying is stubborn, that you have to go through it to really get to your acceptance and to your belonging, and to, this is who I am, and if you don't like it, take a Tylenol or whatever you want to, a pill you want to take, and really put it on paper. And it's like, as the branding you say, it's the reflection, is your mirror, like,
Mhm,
yes, I can do it. And so I invite all the listeners to buy the book. I will do that too. That is Built for Belonging in
mhm,
samthewriter.com. That's where the book is, but she also has another website that it's more about her work, about the
mhm,
design and the branding, that it's called Sam Angel with double L at the end .com, SAMANGELL double L. It's a double angel. It's a double L dot
Yeah,
dot
100%.
yeah, .com. So thank you very much, Sam, to be here with us and sharing your knowledge and your wisdom, and especially your heart. And
Mhm,
it really reminds us that allowing ourselves is not just one moment, it's a permission that we give ourselves, not from somebody else, that we give ourselves to be us, to belong, to trust, and
mhm,
especially to allow ourselves to become who we really meant to be. Is
mhm.
there any advice or anything else that you would like to say?
I think it's just the only thing I can think of is I think everyone is a miracle. Everyone is everyone is a miracle. We've got so much life to give the world, and it is a disservice to not share that light and to not share who you are with the world and hiding behind a mask. I think that's a disservice to hide behind a mask, and it's a privilege to get to see people's real authentic selves. I know authentic can be a bit of a buzzword nowadays, but I think it's a real privilege to get to see people for who they really are. Um, and so I say let that light shine.
Oh, that's amazing. And let your light shine. So, whoever is
Mhm.
listening, let your light shine. And if you want to put it into a brand and become and have
Mhm.
the design and show it to the world, you can contact Sam Angel with double L.com, and you will have a amazing experience with Sam. So, thank you, Sam, and
No,
see you.